My name is Stacy at the Bonneville shop. What we've done is we've pulled apart, basically got in parts, which is the way a lot of you people will end up getting these. An engine that is apart and in pieces for a 1969 T120 Bond. Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find out why it's apart. Why it's apart is definitely going to be because it was broken down for some reason. They didn't just take it apart for nothing. So we're going to find out the heart of this engine is right here. Every piece of oil, every bit of oil pressure, everything from your oil pump goes right through here to begin with. Very first place it goes. Any kind of debris ends up in here, stuck in here. And if it ended up drying out, with the oil in it drying out, there might be a piece of mud or metal or metallica, whatever you want to call it. It'll be all caked together inside the sludge trap tube. So we're going to get this open, hopefully, and we're going to pull it out and put another one in it. It's possible to wash out the old one, but they don't cost very much. It's worth just getting rid of it and putting another one in. Also, the ones that we sell, the sludge trap plug right here, is actually a hex drive, and there's a reason for that. This was a slotted drive, basically so it was easier at the factory. However, for our purposes, it makes it a heck of a lot harder. I'm going to use this screwdriver, which is here at the shop. If it was at my house, in my garage, I actually have a super wide screwdriver that I have got just for this. So we're going to try this because this is probably what you're going to end up using too. We're going to try this, and we're going to make sure you get a screwdriver that has some kind of, not a rounded shaft, but a squared or a nutted shaft, a hex of some kind, so that you can put a grip to it. Because once you start slipping with this thing, if it doesn't want to come out, it's going to just gummer the thing up worse than heck. And we're going to end up putting it on that drill press, and we're going to end up taking it apart that way. Yeah, let's thank our friends at PB Blaster for making the most incredibly good penetrant that I think I've ever used. Now what we're going to do is we're going to fill it from the crankcase journal to go to the big end of the connecting rod. The reason I like to shoot from here, some more direct passage to these threads that are on this sludge trap. So we go right here. We're just chasing it through to its logical end, folks. Now you're going to be tempted to see when the blaster comes out of the crankcase hole right here, you're going to be tempted to think to yourself, hey, the sludge trap's clean, no problem, right? Wrong. Oh, just because oil gets through doesn't mean enough oil gets through. And it doesn't mean if there's something trapped in there, it's not going to break loose and come chasing through the entire motor. So we're going to let our blaster sit for just a little bit. It won't take a whole bunch of time. And while it's wet with this stuff, don't heat it. It's flammable. Okay, we let it sit for a decent amount of time. Let's see if we can get this out.
Yeah.
But that's okay, because this is what the regular Joe is going to end up. They're going to see this slotted tube and they're going to think, I don't know, it's a screwdriver that I use for this project. So it's looking like it's not going to come loose, folks. We're going to have to drill this sucker out. So that means phase 2. Well, folks, it didn't come out the easy way, so we'll go the other way. And as hard as it seems to do this, we don't have a choice, guys. You can do an entire rebuild, and you will be wasting your time if you burn up the left cylinder because oil isn't getting through the car, getting through the crank. I think we might have got motion there. Might have. Let's see. Oh, we got nothing. I think this thing's been there since 1968. Okay, guys, guess what we're gonna do? Yes.
We're gonna drill it out.
We're gonna drill it out. Yes, we are.
Alright.
Now we're gonna adjust our drill press, so it might take a second. You can see I'm getting really close to the edge of this plug, but don't touch it. It's threaded back there. Don't need to lose the threads there. So we're going to get it out and try hammering it up again. See what we can get with it. Because now we have a lot more of a grip surface. We've almost created our own little hex.
And how do you know you're not getting the threads on?
That's the thing. Watch what you're doing. That's why I used the drill press with the big bit when we were doing the initial thing. Because the drill press sits still. I'm not going to worry about it slipping, you know. I cut through this off now. See that? Voila! I can smell the 60s coming out of this crank. Now, before you ever will use this again, what we will do is we will be putting this through a part solvent washer at a high pressure for at least an hour or two. In fact, when I used to do after boring jobs on 2 strokes, as an aside, I would actually take the cylinder out because it has ports on it. And when you're boring a 2-stroke, those ports collect every stupid little shaving that falls off of it. I would actually take that cylinder, that jug, and I would put it in a dishwasher. And let it run, hour. It flushes all that crap out of there. Okay, we have collapsed the plug. Can you hear what I'm saying? We've collapsed the plug finally with a minimal amount of damage. You're going to get a little bit in here, but it's not a big deal. What we're going to do is we're going to pry the rest of it out of here and get this that tube out of there as best as we can without damaging anything anymore. Okay, see, we collapsed our plug. We got really close. What you want to do is keep drilling away. I used actually a Dremel with a small drill bit on it. Just to keep moving metal away from the threads without actually touching the crank itself if you can avoid it. When you get close enough, if you pop it hard enough with a little wedge like this, it collapses into itself and we can get it out the hard way. And I'm kind of glad it did go the hard way because I didn't want you guys thinking that this is easy. There we go, folks. Here she comes. This is a lot like pulling teeth. But it's the worst part, and it has to be done, guys. Don't have a choice. If you go through all the trouble of rebuilding the bottom end of this bike, and you don't have a clean sludge strap, you're going to end up wasting all of your time and all of that money. And I don't want to hear about it after I told you to do it.
Tell us.
I don't want to hear it. Remember that the plug is softer than the metal of the crankshaft. There's part of her. Like I said, it's like pulling teeth. A drill got us through the very center of it. But in order for us to cut with the side of a drill bit, it had to move a lot faster than 5,000 RPMs. A Dremel will move about 30,000 RPMs. So that's really the trick to pulling a lot of these. If you just use the drill, this is what's left of it. Now, is it necessary to do this? Absolutely. You have to. Get this bad boy out. You see the corrosion? That's actually what was holding it in, was this rust. It wasn't any kind of thread seal or anything like that. Now, we'll have to get down in here and unthread this trap. As long as you can see that your threads are still good, you still have plenty of good bite on there, you can thread your new plug into it. And as you can see right here, how close we had to get to make it collapse. This was done with a Dremel, a high-speed steel bit, and the Dremel turning about 30,000 RPMs. Just quickly, just shaving it down like this until I saw it get close to these threads. You'll see these threads start to show as you're dremeling into it. Then once you get to that point, which was basically here, I drilled another little divot. You can see it if it's still there. This used to be a divot before it came apart. And that divot was where I pointed a sharp point drill, and when I struck it with a hammer, it went like that. And it collapsed into itself so that we can pull the plug, and voila, we can make sure our sludge trap is good. We're going to put a new sludge tube into it, And we're gonna put this thing through a solvent tank for about 30 or 45 minutes. Okay, let's see what falls out of here. Oh, beautiful. For you. And if you look very closely, you can see, even though we kind of damaged our face, our threads are still great. And that's using a Dremel to get down to it. And just cut away the edge of this plug, like I did here. Until, see how close it got to the actual thread? You get that close, and then use the hammer and a chisel to make it collapse. Force it to collapse and fall down inside of itself. It's the only way to get it out other than when it doesn't want to come out. So that's what we did today.